What's up, everyone? We are not live for this new episode of Spin from the Real. Once again, I am Matt, and joining me is the personality himself, Chris Anthony Lopez.
Yo, we're doing a pre-taped Spin from the Real for the first time since apparently July, when you mentioned to me that we'd done a pre-taped show, which I don't remember because I'm so used to doing these live. We've been doing these live since
It was when you were moving.
When I was moving. Oh, to Oklahoma. I mean, that makes sense. Yeah, we did do a pre-tape before I moved. That makes a lot of sense. Yes. Okay. We're here. Spin from the Real. We are going to break down the teams tournament because it's still going on. We have the finals this week. As of this recording, it's already up on Patreon, but we're not going to spoil it because, plus we haven't seen it yet. But we're going to talk about it with a special guest. But we first have to bring in our other special guest first.
Yes, just because you know him, Nick, the Underdog Molbach, co-founder of the network we're on right now.
Damn
Nick,
right.
how you doing tonight, sir?
Damn right.
Oh, a fantastic pre-recorded Spin from the Real, but live Wrestle Reel, which is up on the channel at this point.
Live Wrestle Reel.
Just figured I'd mention that. We do the do Spin from the Real live usually and Wrestle Reel pre-recorded, yet we switched it up this week apparently.
Yeah,
I just realized that too. Oh my gosh.
Weird feeling.
But I'm good, sick of shoveling snow, and hopefully that feeling will go away by tomorrow.
Yeah, hopefully. Anyways, Nick isn't the special guest, although he is always welcome on this show. But
your special guest
our special guest is none other than the Finstock Exchange's own, the Barbarian.
What's going on, gentlemen? I have to say, Nick, I got sick of shoveling snow about 17 years ago, and that's why I moved to California.
Smart man.
That's going to be our boy soon, too.
No, if anything, he'll move to New Mexico, and they still get snow there.
Ooh, only in the high altitudes, though, right?
Albuquerque's right there.
Oh.
We'll worry about that. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. But Barbarian, thank you so much for joining us on Spin from the Real.
Thanks,
oh
guys.
My gosh!
Right, yeah.
Thank you for having me. It was great connecting with you guys during the Smash-a-thon. Thought you guys had a great segment, and I was happy to be a part of it. And glad you guys reached out and have me on here now.
Yeah, we've been trying. We took the approach of we're gonna keep it just us for a while and build a little bit, make a small name for ourselves, and then we got Winston one day, and then we got asked to have the Ultimate Schmoedown boys on one day, and it's like, all right, cool, let's keep this train going. We did the Smash-a-thon, met you, and we're like, yes, Craig, the Barbarian, has to be the next guest. So
awesome. Well, thank you. I'm honored. Thank you.
Do you go by Barbarian all the time, or do you go like B?
No, mostly just Barbarian. I mean, my nephews call me Uncle Barbarian. That's actually not even a joke. They do.
It's a family thing. It's not even just a Schmoedown thing. It's a family affair.
Well, I got the nephews into watching the Schmoedown, and they love it. Their favorite competitor is the Barbarian. Their second favorite competitor is the Spider.
Ooh, the Spider, Robert Parker.
Parker. They're big fans of Robert Parker.
Who isn't?
I remember you posted that video of your nephew with
his own fake Elvis. Yeah.
To your theme music. I'm like, that is what I love about the Schmoedown. It's heartwarming. So we got to ask, what got you involved with the Schmoedown?
So, I've been out in LA for 17 years now. Like I said, I've always been a huge movie fan. I moved out here to try to get work in the movie industry. And I'm also a big trivia guy. So I've been doing trivia I've been in a very competitive bar trivia league for about 12 years now. And these were two things that I was very very, very passionate about. And I met Ethan Irwin and Christian Harloff both about 15 years ago, 16, 15 years for each of them, respectively. And so I've been friends with both of them ever since. And I'd followed Christian's like early internet career, like when him and Ellis started the Schmoes Know reviews, which I absolutely loved. Like they, even though the production quality was just so low, just like a grainy camera with like a Rocky poster behind them, but like their takes on movies were, in my opinion, just like much better suited to my own taste than most film critics were, because they were actually looking at whether or not a film was entertaining, not just whether or not like some of these people, they'll if you look at like a lot of comedies get bad reviews regardless of if people like it or not, and it's like they understood what makes a movie actually enjoyable rather than quote unquote good. And so he kept up with that for a while, but of course he's had a very long and windy career that led to the Schmoedown, but I didn't really kind of like follow every step along the way. And then last year in May. It was May. Last year in May, I ran into Ethan Irwin at a party, and he was telling me about, he'd been, I think he was either still champion or just lost the belt at the time, or recently lost the belt. Excuse me, but he was telling me about, giving me about, more info on the Schmoedown. And so the next day I saw Liz Shannon Miller's match debuted, and I knew Liz from social circles and whatnot, and so I watched her match and played along and got every question right. I was like, oh, okay, this is I can do this, but I didn't want to just like reach out to Christian at that point and say, hey, let me do that thing you have. But then a few months later, Christian just kind of posted on his personal Facebook seeing if anyone knew anyone that was good at movie trivia, and I was like, well, I am. And so he brought me on, came in and checked out a day of taping, and that was it. As soon as I hadn't seen Christian in person for about like 10 years. Like we kept in touch, but I hadn't seen him in person for about 10 years before this, and like I used to have much shorter hair. But so I walk into like the day of Schmoedown tapings, and Christian just sees me with my long hair, and he's like, oh, I'm going to call you the Barbarian. This was the first thing he said to me when he saw me. I was like, all right, there we go. Done.
And that's how you got the name, because of you just having long hair.
I mean, well, I think there was probably other parts of my personality that Christian knows me. So it's, I'm sure there were other things that factored into that decision, but, just first thing he said when he saw me. So it's like, I was, it's funny because I came in prepped with like 4 different pitches of like what I could do as a character, and just had to throw them all out the window. He's like, Barbarian. It's like, all right, done.
When fans first met you, it was that infamous moment with Gucci himself, where you just told him to draft me. Was that I gotta break kayfabe here? Was that staged, or was that something you wanted to do?
No, that was just like spur of moment. So that day I came to check out the show, and Christian told me he's going to call me the Barbarian. I was watching sitting around watching the day's matches. Like Ethan had a couple matches earlier that day, or I think just one. It was a great day of matches because it was the day that the Paddington 2 had their infamous challenging their own win against the family, and that was when the Looney Bin upset the Time Machine. And it was when Ben Bateman just obliterated Brendan Meyer in the singles tournament. And so it was just like an amazing day of matches to watch. And it's like, so I'm sitting around watching the matches, and partway through the day, Christian's like, hey, you want to do a scene? I was like, sure. And he said, okay, tell him to draft you. And so, that was kind of, Christian gave us some kind of direction on what he wanted from the scene. And Gucci threw all that out the window as soon as he said action, and I just kind of rolled with whatever Gucci was saying, and we really hit it off doing that scene together, and clicked really well. And then afterwards, I just kind of gave him the pitch on what I know and what I could do, and he's like, "All right, I'll draft you." So
that's awesome.
It worked out for him in the draft. I remember.
Yeah.
I saw your.
Oh, please go ahead.
I saw your first match with Matt, actually. I was over at his house and we were watching it. And just literally from that moment, I became a huge fan. Now, you said you came in with different characters and such. Does that come from just understanding the Schmoedown, or does that come from a wrestling standpoint of things, or the storytelling side of things? Because the Barbarian's such an interesting character overall.
Yeah, and it was basically kind of a combination of those. And the character that I had, I just had like ideas of what to do with the character. I didn't have like a fully fleshed out character, but I'm a big wrestling fan, have been for years, and like that's actually one of the things Christian I had talked about over the years. He used to write for WWE, and I was up for a job on their writing team, and I'd reached out to Christian to kind of get a lowdown on what it was like. So he knew I was a big wrestling fan, and when we talk about Schmoedown, Christian, you just use a shorthand, like wrestling is a shorthand. Like, it's like he'll tell me what kind of wrestler he's, thinking of, like character wise and whatnot. It's like, okay, know it. I got it, so. Yeah. But, no, it was, and I'd had some familiarity going in that first day, but it was not a ton. Like I knew the Schmoedown was basic, I'd watched a couple full matches and I knew the Schmoedown was, had a large wrestling component to it, but I didn't, I hadn't seen all of what everyone had to offer and whatnot. It's like one of my first thoughts was like, maybe I could be like a luchador character that comes in with like, a mask and whatnot. Or another thought I'd had was to do like be a character who comes in singing his own entrance music, like like some people do in the WWE, like R-Truth or John Cena.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so these were just like thoughts that I'd had, and then he, again, I just threw them all out the window as soon as he's the boss. And but he pretty early on he had some good pitches for me on what he wanted me to do with the character, and I feel like the trajectory for the character got a little sidetracked because of, everything that's happened kind of, off screen, between, just between like my personal stuff coming to, being kind of highly publicized, and about the, with COVID making us do the matches from home and whatnot. So it's like a lot more of, the performance ended up being a lot more of me and a lot less of like what I wanted to do with the character during those like, recorded from home matches. But, I still try to add something to all my matches and, and in the promos. And I'm really looking forward to the way the character is going to evolve next year, because I've got been in talks with some people. I won't say anything. I'm not going to give anything away, but I'm excited for season 8 in a big way.
See, and that's awesome that you have a wrestling background, because not too many people do in the Schmoedown. They jump into the Schmoedown just going to answer some trivia questions, or they vaguely know what the show's about due to previous seasons. So the fact that you were like, nah, like I just like trivia and I like wrestling, so I get this, right? Like that just makes me happy, because we host a wrestling show, Nick and I, and of course if Nick didn't ask it, I was definitely going to ask about the wrestling thing. But this is more so just because I have to ask a two-part question, excuse me.
For sure.
So who is your favorite wrestler? Because I feel like I have to ask. And again, in regards to your character and how you're going to progress for season 8, because the abbreviated in-person season that season 7 was definitely hindered a lot of people's characters, and for you even more so, as you mentioned, with your personal life and what was going on with you and your own family. But now that you say you're going to bring it on with season 8 and just rock with this whole new re-energized Barbarian, what, if you can say anything, how are you going to go about approaching that? Is it more so adapting to the home stuff, or are you going to really almost reboot the Barbarian in a different way?
So I don't want to give. I don't want to say too much or give too much away. But I just I foresee taking the character in a direction that's inspired by some really great wrestling storylines. Not beat for beat, but there's some really great wrestling storylines that I've drawing inspiration from. I don't want to say, again, I don't want to give anything away, because
you can't say, because Nick and I will know immediately what it is.
Yeah, exactly. And also, it's like, nothing's set in stone yet. We don't. I don't even know for sure which faction I'll be on. I don't know who my faction mates will be and whatnot. And so, all that kind of plays a part into what the season will hold. So I can't say that. But so the first part of your question about favorite wrestlers, I'm going to give a few answers. One of my two early favorite wrestlers were Rey Mysterio Jr. and the Hurricane. And so I'm a person who actually became a wrestling fan later in life, like around late high school, early college age. Because when I was a kid, I knew that wrestling was fake, and I was like, well, why would anyone watch this? It's fake, But then, when I was in high school, my friends were getting the WCW pay-per-views, so I'd go over and watch those, and just like the stuff that the luchadors in WCW did would just blow my mind. Like, especially like Rey Mysterio and the LWO storyline, his match with Kevin Nash. I loved his match with Kevin Nash when he took Kevin Nash down. And then when I was in college, my older brother was getting the WWE pay-per-views, and I went over to watch. It was a Royal Rumble. And we'd all thrown in $1 or something into drew a number, or maybe it's more than $1. I forget. But we all drew a number, and that number, if your number won the rest of the Royal Rumble, then you won the money, right? And so my number was 28 or something like that. So I'm waiting the whole Royal Rumble, so excited to see who's going to come up. And in the ring is Stone Cold Steve Austin's in the ring, Triple H is in the ring, and then my number comes up. And it was the Hurricane. I was like, what is this guy? But then when he went in the ring and tried to double choke slam both of them, I was like, oh my God, this dude is amazing. And then they just threw him out of the ring. I was like, you know what? Worth it. Totally worth it. I became a huge Hurricane fan after that. I love his because he's a legitimately good wrestler too, and he has some great moves, but he's also just so entertaining. I loved when he did the tag storyline with Kane as the tag team Hurricane, and he's had so many great stuff in terms of current wrestlers. I want CM Punk to come back. I love CM Punk, and I think it's. I haven't got a chance to watch a ton this year. It's fine. I've come around on Roman Reigns. A
lot of us have.
Yes.
Yeah. There's. I like a good combination of, mic skills and wrestling moves, right? And I think probably one of the greatest ever is Chris Jericho, which is why I'm so glad. I'm so happy that when he joined the Schmoedown, I lobbied hard to try to get a match with him. I was like, I was reaching out to Brad Gilmore. We're like, Brad, here's what we need to do. Me versus Jericho with Booker T on I forget in the ring crossover in the ring in Houston. He's like, done, but I feel that happened. But and then it's I don't know. There's just so many. Let me try to think of in terms of the current. It's.
Guys, I think I stumped the Barbarian.
No, I've given 12 answers. But I'm gonna say the Miz of the current stuff. I love what the Miz does. Y'all are Cleveland guys,
Cleveland.
Right? Yeah.
I love the Miz.
His, the fact that he has gone from being just the kid from the real world to being didn't win Tough Enough, the runner-up in Tough Enough. But the guy who won that year, that was the year that was Daniel Puder, right?
Yep.
And Daniel,
I think so.
Yeah, and he had one Royal Rumble moment and then was done. And but the Miz is just stuck it out. He's been a multi-time champion. He's been a tag champion. He's fantastic, and he's great on the mic, and he's great with the moves, and he's got he's the whole package.
Yeah, he's got great catchphrases too.
That's a great mixture. I love that you said Rey Mysterio Jr. because that immediately put me in WCW. Because I don't think he went by Rey Mysterio Jr. in WWE. And Nick, you can correct me if I'm wrong on that.
No, I don't think so.
But Rey Mysterio Jr. It's a great pull, and we rewatched Halloween Havoc for the channel not too long ago. Not 97 though, not the one with Eddie, where that match just rules.
I recommended that one, but instead we watched the one with the Yeti.
The Yeti? Wait, which one was that?
That was 95.
Okay.
It was Hogan and the Giant, so the Big Show.
Yeah.
They had the monster truck match on top of the arena that they pre-taped. But
I decided to choose the most ridiculous one, more or less, was what I wanted to do for the first one. But
and we have no regrets. But this turned into wrestler for a bit, and I don't want to.
If fingers crossed, if we get through this COVID in time, WrestleMania next year is supposed to be out here in Los Angeles. I am so excited to try to get my hands on some of those tickets. I'm actually a season ticket holder for the Rams, so I get like pre-sale stuff for stuff like that. But
nice.
But this is the inaugural season, and guess what? No fans allowed. So
yeah.
But so it looks nice.
Stadium's gorgeous, though.
Oh yeah,
stadium is gorgeous.
We got I got second row seats in near the end zone. Yeah, near the goal line for which I forget which goal line it is, but it doesn't matter. I think visitor goal line.
Of the LA teams, I'm more partial to the Chargers myself, but I get it. But you had mentioned how you plan on taking your character and evolving it next season, but we still don't know exactly how next season's going to work. So I'm curious because this is something Christian's harped a lot on SEN. He doesn't like the digital format. What are your opinions of the digital format?
I mean, look, the digital format has been a means to an end. I much prefer being in studio, but I also part of it is just the communal aspect of it. It's like, we do these tape days, and by the way, we had so much content at the beginning of the year that was studio matches. Those were taped on a total of 3 days. We had 3 tape days that we did all those matches in. And, the tape days are great because just hanging, it's just like all the Schmoedown competitors hanging out. And then afterwards we go out for drinks, and it's just like a lot of fun camaraderie. And you got the different factions, gathered in their corners during the matches and whatnot. And it's, and honestly, I feel like this would be the outcomes of this season would be totally different if we'd had tape day. If we'd been doing it live in studio. For instance, my my match that I lost against Chance. It's like if I'd had, look, Gucci is a fantastic manager, but he's a fantastic manager for several reasons that don't include trivia knowledge. And if I'd had my teammates with me, if I'd had the founding fathers or Bateman or Riley in the corner, there are a couple of the questions in that match that they would have successfully challenged for me. And it's just, it's frustrating to look at that and say, well, the fact that we were doing it online instead of in a studio, may have impacted the outcome of the match.
And that's crazy to think that you were drafted with some of the players that are considered the GOATs, right? With Oroka.
Not even just
Murrow.
Considered, the GOAT.
They are the GOATs, right?
Yeah.
And Ben Bateman may even be the GOAT by the end of his run.
Yeah,
at least by the trajectory that his career's had. But did you think about that when you were drafted to the Finstock Exchange? You're like, damn, I'm with these guys, especially Riley, who's been in it from the jump.
Yeah, no, and by the way, so between the day I did that first match, that first scene that I taped with Gucci, where I watched a day's worth of tapings, and then the draft. So between those that time, I watched the entire run of the Schmoedown.
Oh wow!
So I knew the importance of all these guys, and I'd also seen what happened at Spectacular. So I knew that Gucci was going to be coming into this with 4 of the best players in the league already, and I unfortunately the season, we came into the year looking like the Yankees, and unfortunately we became what the Yankees have been basically every year since 2009. A really stacked team that doesn't win the title. Because as of this past week's matches, we're officially out of the running, which is unfortunate. But I was so excited to be able to work alongside these just legends of the game and learn from them, both from a gameplay standpoint and a studying standpoint and a strategy standpoint, and from a character standpoint. And for me, as someone who's been playing trivia competitively for 12 years, it's like, I've got my own established means for like studying and learning information and whatnot. So I was less concerned with that aspect, but more like, I'm not a professional actor. Like, I didn't come out to LA to pursue acting. I came out to LA to pursue writing. And so I've got, a mind for, storytelling and creativity, but I don't have a lot of experience actually like, performing. I've never taken an improv class. So, getting to learn from, the John Rocas and the Tom Dagninos, just about the character work and the promo cutting and all this. It's been fantastic.
Yeah.
And oh my God, that's I still can't believe that going into this for your first full season, and you're paired up with, the GOATs, like the best to ever do it, even managerial wise with Dagnino.
Yeah,
like he's the best manager of all time.
Yeah, 3-time manager of the year.
It's basically if Zion had been drafted to the Lakers with AD, Bron.
Yeah.
Essentially, yeah, that's exactly what it is.
But
the way I phrased it, I told him, like, look, it's like Mike Trout got drafted by the Yankees. That's the way I said it after the draft.
There you go.
Yeah, that really is what. Damn.
But it's well publicized. You've formed a really good relationship with Ben Bateman. How is? I'm just curious because I'm a Bateman fan. Is that going to impact your decisions going forward at all?
I mean, it's definitely a factor. It's like there's a lot of ins and outs to these things, and personal relationships do take, do get taken into consideration because it's like it's a year's worth of battling, and like the Schmoedown isn't just what you see on air. The Schmoedown is a lot of like time off air, studying and prepping and watching movies and talking about movies and doing study tips and whatnot. And you have to, it's hard to do that with people you don't like. Right. And so Bateman and I became very good friends very early on, and we work very well together, and that's definitely going to have to be a consideration when going into next season. Just leave it at that, I'll say.
Sure.
Yeah, we're some Ben Bateman stands over here. So
I'm a Ben Bateman stan myself.
Oh, I included you in it. That when I said that, I figured like all four of us here were some Ben Bateman stands.
I remember because being a patron, I get the pay-per-views, and I always have Nick over for him, and we treat it like it's it is a big event, but we treat it like if it was the WWE pay-per-view. And I remember because Nick is like outside of you, his favorite player is probably Dan Merle. Yeah. And he came over, and that was when I was really on my Bateman train. I'm like, yeah, let's go. This is going to be great. And I was just so torn going into that match and in the rematch.
I mean, it's funny. Like I was very torn with both of those too. I mean, but I was clearly rooting for Ben because I was helping him. But at the same time, it's like I was friends with Dan. We met Dan at the tapings and whatnot. We're faction mates with Dan, and like in between those two matches, there was a lot of season, and after February, there wasn't a lot of February was like, okay, we gotta Dan and Ben are training separately, but then after February, it's like we get into the team's part of the season where we the founding fathers have the titles and we're prepping to defend them, and we had Who's the Boss that had a number one contenders match, and so those matches were both happening on the same day, so all five of us were working together for prepping for those matches. Like I was working with Founding Fathers, and I was working with Who's the Boss, and it was so in between, so basically in between those two times where like Ben and we had to go into our separate corners for Ben versus Dan, we'd all came together and we're all working together on prepping for for these other matches.
Yeah,
and I'm curious into your thoughts. Like that second Ben Dan match, we saw Ben say some not so nice things about people in your faction and the people who run the faction. And I don't know if you talked about this publicly. You probably haven't asked this question, but I want to ask it for my own sake. Watching that pan out, virtually, of course, because like you said, the season would have panned out differently, regardless if if it was virtual. What were your thoughts on what Ben had said to Dagnito, or to Tom, to Roca, to Merle, to the people there?
It's trying to walk this as a politician. No, first off, it's a very heated moment for Ben, especially because when you have a 6-point lead going into the final round, all you need to do is be able to get a 2 and a 3, and that'll be if your opponent hits all 3 of theirs. You'd need to do that, and someone like Ben Bateman knows 99%. Knows the answer to 99% of the 2-point questions, and the fact that he got the one 2-point question that he didn't know the answer to was just like, it's. When I lost my match to Chance, I in my post game statements, I was talking about how this is very much like football, and that there is some luck that plays into it. Like football, I talk about like football is a sport where you get a ball that's it's an oblong ball with like pointed edges and whatnot. So like sometimes it'll bounce in your favor, and sometimes it won't bounce in your favor. And that's exactly what happened to Ben in this match. Is that 2-pointer did not bounce in his favor, and it's extremely frustrating when what's supposed to be the easiest question of that final round ends up being something that is not universally known. And I know, did I know the answer to Lucas Black? Of course I knew the answer to Lucas Black.
I was just about to say.
Yeah, but, Lucas, I said this in the Facebook group. It's like, Lucas Black is not famous. He's known, but he's like E-list. He's not like, this is real, like this film, and
I'd give him D-list at least.
We'll say maybe.
You got 42. You got that NCIS show. I mean,
you said that NCIS show. That says a lot.
I don't like NCIS, so that's why.
Yeah.
I didn't know
Wait, here's a question: which NCIS show is he on?
Like I said, I don't like NCIS. I'm gonna guess and say. I think it's New Orleans.
It is New Orleans. Yeah, he's like second lead on like the
champion for a reason.
He's like second lead on the 5th Jag spinoff. I mean, it's but like in terms of movie wise, because it's like Ben's not a TV guy, Ben's a movie guy, and movie wise, like Lucas Black's main film work was like this and Legion were the only films that he'd been like the lead of, and I know for a fact that Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift was originally made and intended to be a direct-to-video film. And I was working at the time that movie came out or was being made, I was working at a talent agency, and I remember seeing the talent breakdown for that film, and it was said it was listed as a direct-to-DVD movie when the talent breakdown came out, and the only reason why it got released theatrically was because it tested really well the audience, and in part because of that Vin Diesel cameo at the end. But
I mean, isn't it partly because Justin Lin is just the perfect director for that franchise?
I mean, he's done wonders with it. But I mean, I'll cop to this now because I'll correct this before the next my next match happens. But I've never seen Tokyo Drift. I've seen all the rest of them. I'm actually a huge Fast and Furious fan. Fast 5 is a goddamn masterpiece.
Yes.
Golden.
See, I'm with you. I saw every Fast and the Furious movie before I saw Tokyo Drift, because Tokyo Drift was to me that ugly stepchild. It's like what
it still is.
Well, no, it fits in the franchise now. They made it fit retroactively.
Yeah. Well, like the way the franchise was released, like first was the Fast and the Furious. I saw that in theaters. It looked good. I enjoyed the movie a lot. Next was Too Fast, Too Furious. I was working at a theater with that game. I was working at a movie theater when that movie came out. I saw it for free. Wanted my money back.
Exactly. I hate that movie.
And so when this movie that was supposed to be direct to video came out in theaters, I didn't give it a second thought about whether or not I'd seen the theater. But then when the fourth one came out, they're like, hey, we're going to bring back, we're going to reunite Diesel and Walker
Rodriguez.
and Brewster and Rodriguez. I was like, all right, I'm in for this. And I saw in theaters like, all right, that was fun. And then when they did Fast 5, it went from being fun to just fucking amazing. And and now, unfortunately, I feel like they peaked at 5 because after 5, they felt the need to try to top themselves every time. And so the more they do to try to top themselves, the more ridiculous and over the top they get.
But that's the thing you love about it. Like,
but no, and trust me, that's why I go back for them. When I was in the movie theater to see Fate and the Furious, it was like 5 minutes into the movie where I forget what happened in the first 5 minutes. I just remember something happened in the first 5 minutes of the movie. I was like, yeah, that's why I'm here. That's why I come to see these movies. Yeah. But no, it's like, look, these movies make $1 billion a picture. It's because they're awesome. But Fast 5 wasn't just a lot of fun and awesome. It was just like it's just a legitimately good put together film that's even better if you've watched the rest of the franchise, because they take storylines from the other films in the franchise and tie them all together in a really fun way. And then they add The Rock, which of course The Rock is the goat. The Rock is the real wrestling goat.
Yeah, one of them.
Yes,
definitely.
Fast 5 was actually the first Fast and the Furious film I saw, like, ever. With my dad being a critic, it was time for that screening, and
and that's what he gets. So I mean, while we lose Matt for a second, Barbarian. Oh, did we get him? Did we get him back? Okay. Well, we've been. There you go. Matt.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Finish your 2 cents.
I was gonna say. We sat there and we were both like, my dad's like, this isn't a franchise. I remember I'm like, this franchise is fucking cool.
Exactly. The first 4 movies are more like car movies, like heist. They're not heist. Like they became a heist film franchise in the 5th one, but like they're the first 4 were just like action crime movies, but then they became like complex heist films. Yeah.
This guy right here worked on the Fate and the Furious, actually.
Yeah, nice. That's the only reason why I have any connection to this series whatsoever. Not that I'm opposed to watching them, but like, yeah, I was like, hey, where you had your moment of the first 5 minutes being like, that's why I'm here. Mine was around like 20 minutes, maybe. I was like, yep, that's why I'm here, because I recognized the city of Cleveland in that shot.
Nice. I did not know they taped in Cleveland. What did you do for the film?
Production assistant.
Nice.
So it was my first like on-set experience for like a bigger Hollywood scale. I've done a lot of independent stuff, but I mean, you learn a lot. You learn a lot about the whereabouts of things, and that's something that is so interesting that I have to imagine with the Schmoedown is when you work on movies and stuff like that, you kind of become a little bit more detail oriented when it comes to the films and stuff like that. Has that come into play when it comes to your Schmoedown experience at all?
For me, I don't think any of my actual works. I've done a few different things. I've done very, very little on set work for anything. But I would say like what actually comes into play more for me is I used to work at a talent agency as an assistant, so I know a lot of like obscure actors just because like I like literally know them.
Yeah.
But they very rarely get brought up as answers to questions, unfortunately, because they're almost like that a little too obscure. But like one of them, like I know the guy that plays Agent Jasper Sitwell in the MCU, and but he came up in somebody else's match. He didn't come up in my match. Like that's what I don't even need to study, because like I've talked to him about like Marvel for years and years. It's like he like I remember after Captain America Winter Soldier came out, and he gets ripped up. The Winter Soldier rips him out of the car and throws him in front of a truck on the freeway. I texted him afterwards and be like, hey, great job, sorry to see you get killed. And he just responded with like, no, you know what they say, no one in Marvel's ever really dead. And sure enough, like however many years later, wait, I can get to this. It was Winter Soldier would have been 23rd.
2014.
2014, yeah, because 2013 was Thor: The Dark World, and then after that was At any rate, 20. All right. Anyway, 5 years later, when an Endgame comes out, sure enough, Maximiliano's back in there as Jasper Sitwell again. I was like, you told me, you'd be back.
He spoiled it for me. He spoiled Endgame for me.
Yeah.
That's nuts. Oh my gosh. Well, we'll wrap the little interview portion before we actually talk some Schmoedown and we let our boy Nick go. Barbarian, if you don't mind, I would love to play some award association with you.
Sure.
Because you hit the ground running in the Schmoedown, and you definitely had your hands involved in multiple different things, or rubbing some fur on the side of your shoulder. But I'll just say a name of a person, a manager, competitor, somebody, and just give me the first word that pops into your brain.
All right.
So, for example, we'll start with Christian Harloff. What do you think when I say Christian Harloff?
The man.
Or Mark Ellis?
Funny.
Tom Dagnino.
Genius.
Dan Murrell.
Goat.
Lon Harris.
Hilarious.
Shannon Barney.
Deceitful.
Winston Marshall.
Boisterous.
Let's go Sam Levine.
Cagey.
KG. Rachel Cushing.
Queen.
Andrew Guy.
There's a lot of words that come to my mind. I think of Andrew Guy.
Any of those appropriate for a spin from the reel?
No. Sure, I'll just say Cohen's, because he and I had a discussion about his. I was there the day he had his match against the corruption when he lost on the Coen Brothers question, basically.
Okay.
That was McQueenie's last match, right?
Yeah, McQueenie's last match.
That was actually the day. That was the day after Nick and I interviewed Sam. He was at Cleveland. He was at Wizard World Cleveland that weekend. That's why he couldn't be at the match.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Well, since we said Andrew Guy, and you guys mentioned his name, Drew McWeeny.
Godfather. Actually, I never got to meet Drew McWeeny, so I don't really know him at all.
Wow.
When he stormed out of that room after the match like that, he was gone.
He never came back.
I never saw him. Well, that was our last in studio tape day. So
okay.
He had a legitimate reason for retiring, but it was always he was going to continue with the season if they won and kept winning, but he had he had a work commitment come up that cost him to retire. Yeah, so we might see him back again. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know him, but I just know that his departure was planned. Excuse me, because of work reasons.
Okay, we'll do a couple more. Paul Oyama.
Young Buck.
Young Buck, nice.
The Young Buck.
Let's do John Roca.
Outlaw. I mean, it's hard to associate him with anything other than outlaw.
And we'll end with Adam Collins.
I mean, I was gonna the first thing that came to my mind was Coyote, but it's it's not. I don't know. It's I feel like that's a bad one to end on. So again, Adam Collins, I've spoken to just very briefly, never met in person, so I don't really have any strong associations with him. But how
do you feel about his play?
I mean, the proof is in the pudding, I would say. It's I'll say that I am jealous that he's had the success that he's had and that I'd envisioned for myself, but was out of my reach. So it's 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 unfortunate, but I happened to run into Bibiani on the best match he's ever had. It's funny if you go to the Schmoedown, I forget what the website is, but there's a page that has Schmoedown stats on it, and it's like, the match between myself and Bibiani like holds so many records on the stats page, including the most accurate 3-round game ever.
Wow.
It's just. I only missed one question that game, and I'd realized the right answer before they asked me to show my board. Which if you go back and rewatch that match, you'll notice that Christian has to ask me twice to show my answer because I'd realized it was wrong. And I'm just sitting there, it's like, I don't want to say the wrong answer. But he's had an outstanding rookie run. And I will say more than anything. And honestly, here's the thing: I reached out to him because the only match we competed together in, but we didn't appear on the screen at the same time, was the horror free for all. And I put a lot of time and effort into studying for the horror free for all because I agreed to do it thinking, I know horror movies. I'm not like, I don't think like I'm specific. I've never been considered myself like a horror movie fan, but like horror movies are movies, and I know about a lot of movies. And as I specifically started studying the genre, it became like fighting a Hydra, and that like every movie I would learn would reveal 2 more films that I needed to study. And it was just like, by the end, I had a list of like 350 films that I was trying to study. And by the way, and that only covered about 80% of the movies that were asked about in the free for all. Like, they were like, I'd say like maybe 20% of those didn't even make it to my list, including Tales from the Hood, which was a question that I got wrong in the first round. Never even came across my radar as I was studying that list of 350 films that I had. But yeah, so I reached out to him after that because I knew exactly how difficult that was, and that to me is the most impressive thing that he's done this season, was actually that horror free for all so far. So yeah.
It ruled, and it was just adding on to what you said already. His already spectacular season, but we'll get to spectacular in a second. But we do have to say goodbye to our boy Nick. Nick, thank you so much, buddy.
Yeah,
I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you, Barbarian. It was an honor to meet you. I always tend to have so much more respect for the people who are actually working in the field that I am trying to be in. So make sure that you let Elvis know to make some room for that belt next season. All right.
I will. Elvis is going to get his own mini belt too.
All right, so good. I can't wait. I can't wait to see the reveal. So thank you again so much for taking the time.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. We got some teams to talk about, don't we, Matt?
Yes, a lot of teams. Well, not a lot of teams, but a few teams.
Four teams. That's a lot of teams.
4 teams is a lot of teams.
So after last week, we now know who our team's champion or team tournament champion competitors are, and it breaks my heart. And Barbarian alluded to it already. That Founding Fathers is not one of them.
Yeah, it broke my heart too. It's look, it's like I said before, I was involved in some of the prep for that, and it just we hadn't had a chance to really thoroughly prep for Eddie Murphy, and that's what they landed on the wheel. And that I don't know if I forget what the final score was, so that whether or not those
Chris has it written down, knowing him.
It was the final score was oh geez, I just had it and I lost it. Give me 1 second, I'll have it.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it's like so they missed. I think it was like a 2 and it was a 2 and a 1, and both of them got stolen. So that's like a 6-point swing, right? Yeah. You get those 6 points, that's the game for Founding Fathers, and it is what it is. It's hard. Like that's the great thing about the singles division is that
35-32, by the way.
Yeah, 35-32. So a 6-point swing. That's that's pretty. That's a dominant victory by the founding fathers. But they didn't. But that didn't happen. They got those questions wrong. And excuse me. And it's it's disappointing. But at the same time, like going in, it's like the team of Final Exam is one of the most formidable teams out there. And like you put somebody, I think what makes them so formidable is the complementary movie knowledge set of Paul Oyama and Lon Harris. And part of that is due to age. Like so there's somewhere around a 20-year age difference between the two. It's not exactly 20, it's less than that. But, so you get Oyama, who's grown up with one set of movies, and you got Lon, who's grown up with another set of movies. And, of course they will have like, seen other movies, it's not like you stop watching movies at a certain point. It's not like you can't watch movies that came out before you were born or before you were paying attention to movies. But, the movies of Paul's adolescence are probably, more strongly, remembered for him, and the movies of Lon's adolescence are more strongly remembered for him. And it's completely different sets of films because of the age difference. And I think that in of itself is just a really important thing. When you look at some of the really successful teams, you've had Corruption. That's Chance and Kalinowski. Like they have a similar age difference between them. You have Bibiani and Brendan Meyer. They have a similar age difference between them. And it's like both, and also what's, important to note with these teams is that they're really solid teams, like a team of two really solid players who also happen to have this, age difference that really gives them a lot more ground to cover than a team of two players who are the same age.
And I never really thought about that, the age differences between the two. And maybe just because I never figured Lon to be that much older than Paul Oyama, but at the same time looks so deceiving, especially if you're a delinquent. Yeah. But I think and that's you just blew my mind with that. So like the founding fathers are closer in age than Final Exam. Yeah. So with Dan and Roca, so of course they're gonna have a lot of overlap. And we saw that in this match, right? So just to give a little bit of a breakdown for those at home who are watching. So after round one, Oyama, Roca, and Merle all had perfect rounds, including the bonus question. They all got the bonus question right. It was 18-16, which is already impressive after a first round. 18-16 already. That's how teams matches used to end, 18-16. So founding fathers elect to spin first this time, which already were breaking from the norm. And they spin movie quotes to begin. And movie quotes it could be a toughie. We've seen movie quotes sink some people in the past. So they elect to spin again, and that's where, as the Barbarian mentioned, they spun Eddie Murphy. And they missed two questions, 1 2-pointer, 1 1-pointer, gave them to Final Exam, and Final Exam got both of those questions right. Where to me, while watching this match, was the real turning point. That's where it became apparent to me that Final Exam had the ball in their court after and they didn't even answer a second round question yet. Yeah. Because we all knew they were a good team's putting it lightly. They were a force in the Schmoedown.
We even said going into last week that if the founding fathers lost, it would be because the right Lon showed up. And I think
not Adam Collins, Lon Harris. Like Final Exam, Lon Harris showed up.
But by the way, like Adam Collins, Lon Harris was just a matter of Lon landed on horror films, something that he felt confident in. Like I know for a fact that Lon is a big horror films fan. He even mentioned it in this match that he wanted to make up for his poor performance in the free for all where he and I eliminated each other. But so he chose that with confidence in that match, and but as I said, it's like there are a lot of movies and horror films, and he got he got bit by it, at any rate. But yeah, so it's like even though that was a KO match, it's not like he played a super poor game. He
Right.
just had a really bad round 2 in a category that we all know Collins is very good at. So it's
scary good at. Like it's, and pun intended, like he is scary good at horror. Yeah. But with this match, right, and you guys have even alluded to it not too long ago, like Paul Oyama, it's even at a younger age, like, man, he's closer to our age. And I don't know exactly how old he is.
I think he's your age, 20. I think he's 23.
He's 23. God. Okay. So when they spun Aubrey Hepburn, when they spun Opponent's Choice and chose Aubrey Hepburn, I thought Audrey Hepburn. Like, I'm like, okay, like this is good. They chose that, and Harris is like, oh yeah, like I got that too. Like that's me too. But Paul obliterated the questions, and it's scary to talk about. Scary with Collins. I was scared watching Paul because that is terrifying. The fact that he with ease he got those with ease.
And it's. I feel like I don't want to pull the curtain back too much, but when I heard what slices were going to be on the wheel, I told Roka, it's like, all right, so Oyama put Audrey Hepburn on the wheel, and so he's playing. If they get Spinner's Choice, he's going to go Audrey Hepburn, and I said that before the match, just because knowing the type of player that Paul is, and knowing what I know about the category of Audrey Hepburn, it seems to me to be the exact category that Paul would go with. And so I was not surprised at all to see. I mean, clearly he obliterated it. He was again like Paul. We did that word association. Paul Oyama, the young buck. To me, Paul Oyama is like, just an A+ player in this game. He is a top tier player. He's got the knowledge and the will to be a championship caliber player for years and years to come. And he's also, he's got the character chops too. We see that he's been able to pivot from being the villain to a more likable character this year that he was. It's been a really great turnaround. And Paul and I, we met when he came out for the his tape days, and we've been friends since. He's a great dude.
Yeah, I could tell. That Phil Ryerson question still bugs me though. Oh.
Well, and here's the thing, and it's you can tell watching that, and then by the way, like that in of itself is changed the game. Like they had a 50-50 and they went with the wrong one. And if had they gone with the right one, there's a flip of the coin that determined the game. They lost by 3, and that's a 4-point. That was a 4-point swing.
Yeah, it's so heartbreaking because I forget. I'm gonna be honest. Our fan league. I'm the champion. I forgot Steve Zahn was in that movie. I'm like, oh, that's Jeff Garland. This is easy. And I'm like, wait, Steve Zahn's in it. Maybe it's not as easy. I'm second guessing myself.
Yeah. It was a tough miss to watch them get, because we all had the same thought process. Like it's down to 2 guys. Which one is it? Yeah. And you would and we all thought at home like, oh geez, they said Steve Zahn. And although like you, Matt, I could only pull Jeff Garland. I couldn't remember Steve Zahn. But that's just luck. That's like Lashana Miller getting Tank Girl. Like it's luck, Like it just happened to be the one name I could remember that's not Eddie Murphy from Daddy Daycare. So to your point, Barbarian, like that's exactly like the football just bounced in my direction. But
if it had been a Daddy Day Camp question, I would have. Daddy Day Camp's my wheelhouse because of my talent agency days. Because
there you go.
My boss at the talent agency was best friends with Fred Savage, who directed Daddy Day Camp. And Daddy Day Camp was originally going to be it's another one of those films that was originally going to be direct to video, but when they made it, they're like we're going to release it theatrically. It bombed theatrically, but it was originally supposed to be But one of the guy who plays Cuba Gooding Jr.'s father in the film, Richard Richard Gant as a client at the agency I worked at. Super great actor. He was in Deadwood playing Hosteller, and he's in my. It's funny, when I first saw his headshot, I was like, "Oh, that's the guy from The Big Lebowski." Not realizing he has like one line in The Big Lebowski. He's one of the two cops that like go. It's him and Christian Clemenson are two cops that go to take the police report from the dude after his car gets stolen. And Christian Clemenson is like, I wouldn't hold out much hope for the tape deck. And then Richard Gant chimes in with his only line, like, all the credence. But anyway, he's back in Daddy Day Camp. Anyway, sorry, tangent.
No, you're fine. That's just it. Just proves how scary you are.
Whenever you say one of those nuggets, I'm like, he's really going for that championship next year.
Like, he just pulled a Richard Gant pull.
I personally know Richard Gant. That's the thing. It's like, it's not,
Yeah, from Daddy Day Camp of all things, from that one line in The Big Lebowski, the one line that the character had.
Yeah.
But going to round 3 with the final exam Founding Fathers thing, so they weren't necessarily out of it. It was just they were down 5, and Roka got that 2-point Will Smith question, which was from Hitch. They're looking for Kevin James's name, and he got it. Yeah. And that the 3-point question that Dan got. Already, dance is it's a tough category, a historically tough category, unless you are proficient in dance movies, or unless you're Bibiani, who just loves Step Up. But the Dan question, it was who played one of the leads in The Last Dance, or Save the Last Dance. Yeah, and not the Michael Jordan documentary, the movie Save the Last Dance. Yeah. But I was rattling my brain. I couldn't pull it. But I'm like, this is nuts. Like, that's one hell of a question for Dan and Merle to be stumped. It takes a lot.
I felt like that was more of a 5.
Yeah, I couldn't pull it either. It's funny because after the match was over, Roka was telling me the questions that they'd missed, and like I said the same thing Dan did. I said Mekhi Phifer because and the reason why he and I both said Mekhi Phifer is because Mekhi Phifer starred in the other Julia Stiles film that came out. It was either the same year or a year apart from it, which was the Othello adaptation. Was Julia Stiles and Mekhi Phifer. So you had Save the Last Dance, which was the similar time frame with Julia Stiles and another black lead. And look, at the end of the day, it's like Sean Patrick Thomas. Like I was saying about Lucas, but Sean Patrick Thomas is less famous than Lucas Black.
Yes.
And.
Yes.
It was funny. It's like, now Dan, having spoken to him about it, is more, understanding. He's basically, than Ben was in his post-match comments. But it was, like, Dan mentions, like, some people think that was too hard for a 3-pointer. He's like, but at the end of the day, in the category of dance movies, this was a prominent dance film in the last, in the last 20 years, and he was the male lead of this prominent dance film. So it's like, if you're going to be spitting the dance films category, it's a completely fair question to be asked.
1,000%. Like, it's, oh my God. I thought to myself, now I was watching the match, and I was listening to it. I'm like, that's one hell of a 3-point question, but at the same time, Dan brought up a great point. It's like in dance films, you're asking for a co-lead of a movie, so it's not like, oh God, it was frustrating as a fan to watch to listen to.
It's not like you're asking like who plays like Seventh Banana and whatever, but
but that means they had to answer their 5, and they did. They got a Young Guns question with the greatest of ease. John Roca pulled it. Yeah. And that sent it back to final exam, which they had to answer 2 questions, or at least one of the bigger, more valued questions.
Yeah.
And Lon Harris, they got horror, excuse me. He got the horror question, 2 points. And then Paul Oyama with the 3-pointer, and Oscars looking for the Holly Hunter movie from 94. I think the correct answer was
93.
93. Yes, there you go. And it was The Firm, I believe he said.
Yes, sir.
And then bang. Final exam advances, and us over here at Spin from the Real, we're like, damn, our brackets are officially busted. We cannot. We predicted we're over 2 in the finals predictions. Over 2.
Who did you have in the other side of the bracket?
So we had the Lethal Weapons beating. We're after so. I thought Lethal Weapons were going to win too. But we don't even call deception anymore. we've gotten chummy with the Ultimate Schmoedown show guys, and I was watching their Changer episode. He's like, Disruption makes a better name considering who they are as people, and it sounds like corruption. And I'm like, he's got a point. So we just call him Disruption now. We don't care.
It was a great point. Either way, and it's a great segue to the Odd Couple Deception match, which another great match last week. Last week gave us two incredible matches, especially for like Christian saying that, and I'm paraphrasing, he effing hates the teams, how teams is done digitally, which I mean, I cannot even imagine or even begin to see how frustrating it can be production wise to get all these teams in, all these people in, make sure they're separate rooms, all that stuff.
I wouldn't know. I've never gotten to plan a team's match digitally.
Not yet, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's done. It's done. Damn. Which is crazy. We might not see teams for a while, depending on how the country is. But the Odd Couple Deception match, arguably better than Final Exam, Final Fowlers, and that's saying something, especially for the people involved. And Matt, we've talked about it on the show multiple times. The team formerly known as Deception, they've, like, on paper, they're fantastic. Like, they are incredible. Marisol and Adam were scary as hell on paper, especially from what we saw in the singles tournament. Even though Marisol lost to Paul, she lost to Paul. It was Paul Oyama. Yeah. You know, it's no slouch. And they definitely brought the heat going into this match with the Odd Couple, right? So only Mark and Draco and Adam Collins are perfect after the first round. And the score is 16-16. All right, great, right? Deception spins, spinner's choice. They choose Spike Lee. These spinner's choice options are so bold, and I love it. You get Spike Lee, and they're up 28-16. They sweep it perfectly, which is nuts. And then when Odd Couple spins, they spin Meryl Streep, and same thing. They get 12 for 12 out of points. So we're tied going into the round 3, and it's absolutely insane the fact that this brand new team of Deception, also known as Disruption in our eyes, is facing off against.
I like to call them Deception with a K.
Deception with the K. And then the Odd Couple, one of the best teams ever. I think we can say that in confidence. One of the best teams ever. Can we not?
No, we can't. We'll
just say they are former champions.
They are former champions.
Can't forget that.
I can't give, even though we saw them in person, I can't give them one of the best teams ever just yet.
I think part of the problem with saying that is that one of the maybe the best team ever was the Patriots, and so this isn't even the best team that Jeff Snyder's been on, but they're former champions. They're very good. Anytime you're going up against someone that's been a champion in this league, it's you're dealing with a real threat.
Yeah.
1,000%. And I mean, I'm not saying Matt, like, I'm definitely not saying they're the best team ever. Obviously, it's the Patriots. It's Jeff Snyder's other team.
I got to the line as the best team ever. Just saying.
Oh, okay. Totally understand.
Back-to-back wins against the Patriots. One being a whatchamacallit match.
Aren't those
Iron
the Patriots'
match.
only losses?
Iron Man match. Yes,
Aren't
those are the Patriots' only losses.
Mm-hmm.
If it was just one loss, it'd be a different story. But it was two back.
No, and I totally understand that choice. And plus, it's two great singles competitors coming together for a team. Can't really blame you for it. But the Odd Couple, I would like to think they're definitely top 5.
Yeah.
But that's a conversation we can have later.
Yeah.
But so for this round 3, Marisol McKee goes first, gets a Will Smith question, or the question in the category Will Smith, nails the 2-point question. But then what's really interesting out of the 2-point questions was Mark and Draco's 2-point question. Yeah. And the world of Disney. So I'm like, okay, Disney. But then I believe the question is, what holiday is the Mad Hatter celebrating in Alice in Wonderland?
Yes. And that was a very reasonable challenge. Like, because they ask a holiday, you're not thinking in terms of, oh, these are the holidays in Alice in Wonderland. You're thinking of real holidays in your head.
But also, look, at the end of the day, like I was texting PJ as I was watching this, like that 2-pointer is a 5-point. I mean, I knew the answer because I've recently rewatched Alice in Wonderland, so it's not like, but I was like, that's a 5-pointer. Like, are you kidding me? The happy unbirthday? No, it's that's not a He's like that is a deep. That's like a deep cut, like plot based question. It's
Yes.
You know, when you like anything, I've held that anything that's plot based doesn't belong in a 2-point question.
Yes.
You know, 2-point questions should be reserved for cast and cast and directors, or like give a synopsis, say what the movie is, type of thing. That's what 2 points should be, right? But that it's like, name the thing that they were celebrating in Alice in Wonderland, a movie that came out 70 years ago. It's like, yeah, it's crazy.
It was one hell of a 2-point question. I was shaken when Andreyko even got the question. And the fact that he had to repeat it, and he's like, wait a second, no, this is some garbage. And then they all really, the entire, even Roxy was like, well, let's cool it. All right, let's challenge this thing, because this is nuts, and rightfully so. Yeah. But then he's given a new question in Disney, gets it correct. So we're still tied going into the 3-pointers.
I texted PJ about that second question he got, because technically that second question had multiple answers.
I forget what was the question.
It's what classic Disney film is a set of scenes with music played to it.
Yeah, it was a Fantasia question.
Like the Nutcracker Suite. And because they said like the Nutcracker Suite instead of including the Nutcracker Suite, that Disney in the 1940s had multiple films that were like Fantasia, because they were trying to weather the storm of World War II.
Right.
So they were just taking odds and ends and throwing them together and putting them in a movie theater. And specifically, there was one called Melody Time that I'd recently watched. That was like, that could be Melody Time. It was like, you were clear, because it's 2-point, you were clearly going for Fantasia, but
yeah,
there's a bunch of movies that could have been. So
I thought it was a trick question when it was asked.
Yeah.
Right.
I was prepared for another challenge.
I was like, that is basically every Disney film of the 1940s. I mean, not every, but they did, yeah. At any rate, but yeah, that one was a much more two-pointer, because it was basically described.
Right.
Fantasia was the obvious answer.
Yes.
So we already thought the Alice in Wonderland question and the debacle around that was crazy. But to me, what the craziest thing that happened in this match is Adam Collins missing. Don't say that. He missed his 3-point question, and then Snyder proceeded to hit his sports 3-point question, and that changed the match entirely. The momentum went back to the Odd Couple, and Deception was given a 5-point Tom Cruise question, which is rough in my eyes, and they missed it. Match awarded to the Odd Couple. But Adam Collins missing a third-round question, crucial third-round question.
Missed 2 third-round questions.
And Deception's out of the tournament. Odd Couple advances.
Yeah.
I mean, Chris, you know where I stand on that, because this is the first time we ever got to see him answer a 5. And like I said,
well, and I'll say this: I feel like that 5-pointer. Look, I've had a couple moments this season that I chalk up to just being rookie mistakes. Not using my JTE on that question against Bibiani, that I realized I had, I was in the middle of reasoning out what the answer could be. It was a Charlotte's Web question, and I was thinking it through and didn't realize time had ran out until it already ran out. Like that's a rookie mistake, And I think here, what happened with Barbara Babcock was a rookie mistake for Deception. Because at the end of the day, now what have they gotten to the name Barbara Babcock? Barbara Babcock's a deep cut. That is a deep cut. But the fact that they couldn't even try, the fact that they didn't try to reason out, okay, what other character in this could this be? The name similar to, the fact that they just didn't try to figure out someone other than Nicole Kidman to say, it's like the answer to a 5-point question about Far Away is never going to be Nicole Kidman.
Not Nicole Kidman.
But again, I think that's something that they're going to learn from, and it's going to make them even more dangerous, because they're going to say, okay, these are the kinds of questions we can be asked, so these are the kinds of questions we will prepare to be asked. And they are the type of competitors who prepare very well for matches.
Yeah. but as we've basically been saying every week going forward, do we know if these two competitors will even still be together come January or
Right.
February, whenever we get that? So
I mean,
Great
that's an interesting question. I have my own theories on whether they will still be together, but I don't want to give my theories away. I'm a bit of a I like game theory. I'm a bit of a I'm looking at the board of what's going to happen for next year, and I'm playing out scenarios and whatnot.
you and me
And
both,
huh?
I said you and me both, sir.
Yeah, and I find it unlikely that they will be separated. I think the likeliest scenario is that they will remain a team next year. But I mean, if you I guess I can elaborate a little more if you really want. I mean, look,
Please.
I'd love to hear. We always go on tangents like this.
We speculate about this every single week.
So here's my thought on it. You got you got three keepers, right?
Yes.
Shannon's three keepers are clearly, is like everyone's trying to build some drama around it. It's clearly going to be Kalinowski, Chance, and Adam Collins. You don't have the winner of the singles tournament and not keep them. And you're Shannon Barney, you're not going to not keep Mike, and you're not going to not keep Chance. Like, Chance is a 3-division threat, so is Mike. And honestly, it's like in this league, I think one thing this year showed is that the 3-division threats are very valuable. That said, so going into the draft, Corruption is going to have either the last pick or the second to last pick, because it's either going to be Corruption or Swag that wins the season. So, looking at that, I think that the only way that Shannon keeps Marisol, retains Marisol, is if she takes Marisol with one of her first two picks. Because if not, she's not going to get Marisol back at her third pick. And I don't think that anyone else is going to prioritize Marisol in the first round. That's just my prediction. Because just looking at the number of players that are going to be available to be drafted, and I don't foresee Marisol being one of the, once all the keepers have been announced, I don't see Marisol being one of the, 9 best players remaining on the board. And now I could be wrong. Again, this is also just like, again, me just looking around saying, okay, who will be there? Who will not be kept? Who's going to be out there? But once we see the draft board, maybe I'll change my mind. Maybe I'll say, okay, Marisol is one of the 9 best players. But as of now, I don't anticipate that being the case. So I think that Shannon would be one of the few people that would be willing to take Marisol with a first round pick. So that's why I think they'll still be together.
I'm honestly on the same page as you. The only other person I could see taking a chance on Marisol in the first round, honestly, though, is Roxy.
I mean, that's true, but
that's a good one.
I mean, is Roxy the type of manager that's going to cut off her nose to spite her face?
I don't know. Sometimes Chris and I have both talked about it. The deep allegiance she has to the Odd Couple at times has come back to bite her.
I mean, has it though? When is it bitter?
I mean, it's not necessarily their performance.
They're making their way into the finals of this tournament. It's the second tournament in a row that Jeff Snyder's made his way into the finals of. I feel like her faith in Jeff Snyder has been, I'm
not talking about them but just this season, because I feel like she's had a few people on her roster who might have been able to do something, and then she prioritized them, and I understand why. As a manager, like when Gucci prioritized you, Roca, Dan, like I get the game standpoint, but I also feel like she had a few people there who deserved a shot, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, and I mean the problem is with this year is that there were fewer opportunities because of COVID, and it's just this year didn't play out the way any of us wanted it to play out. So I don't think that speaks to her skills as a manager or her preferences as a manager, but it's like you're not going to not put Jeff Snyder and Mark Andreyko into the singles tournament, like
she was trying to play catch up, and I get that. Just like personally, and Chris called me crazy when I said this. I thought it was a bad move for Kalinowski to drop the number one contenders match and go into the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
That
I agree with that statement.
That played out that way.
Yeah,
but
it's like, what that reminded me of? That reminded me of when people in fantasy football leagues like tank their final week of the season in order to try to get an easier playoff seed, and then they lose the match that they take to get into. Mm-hmm. It's like you don't mess with fate. You don't mess with you play to win the game. And Kalinowski did not. Kalinowski had a shot at getting the title, and he didn't go for it. And so it's it
worked out in your favor.
I mean, it did and it didn't. Because I mean, I think that I think that we would have got more points if Bateman would have faced Kalinowski first. Or wait, no, because it was
Bateman probably would have been in the tournament.
No, Bateman was already going to face. It was going to be Kalinowski versus Guy, right?
Yeah, it was Kalinowski versus Guy, and Bateman was probably going to end up in the tournament.
No, Bateman wasn't going to be in the tournament.
That was just something I thought that we.
Oh no, there was no scenario because of the timing of the way everything played out. There was no scenario in which Bateman was going to be in the tournament because he wasn't going to give up his number one contenders match because you shouldn't give up your number one contenders match. But look, hindsight's 2020. So it's easy to play Monday morning quarterback.
Yeah.
Kalinowski, I have a ton of respect for. He made the decision that he believed was in his best interest at the time, and it could have worked out really well. It just didn't work out really well.
Yeah. And it honestly worked out really well for Perry because Perry has been has basically looked like a completely different player since that match. Even in her losses, she's been great. So
well, and I mean, if you go back to the I don't know if you guys saw the exhibition matches. She was great in the exhibition matches, and and I think that's a lot of what got her to come back into the league. Like I competed against her in the Jurassic Park match, and her and I went blow for blow, and it was and Cody Hall was right there with us too. And it's like. I don't know, have you guys seen that match? Are we allowed to talk about it publicly?
Yeah, I saw it a while ago.
Yeah, we could talk about it.
Yeah. If you watch that match, like Cody misses 2 questions, Perry misses 1 question, and I didn't miss any. And that's how close that match was. I had to play a perfect game in order to beat Perry in that match. She was a fantastic competitor, and then she was in a different match. It was the new releases exhibition match. I haven't seen yet, but I hear did she win that one or did she just come really close to winning it? I forget. But she did these exhibition matches where she did really well. And, I honestly thought that she had a good chance of beating Kalinowski based off what I saw of her in those exhibition matches. I was like, this girl can play, Yeah.
And I actually want to quickly touch on the Marisol McKee thing before Matt and I do our little preview and prediction for the team's tournament final. Yeah. But Marisol, okay. So that Shannon's thought process, at least what we all think it is what you said, Barbarian. It is Mike, because I mean that'd be awkward. That'd be a little awkward on the roof, right? Mm-hmm. Chance, because why wouldn't you? Who wouldn't want to pick Chance? And if you already have him, keep him. And then Adam, because Adam's had a stellar season. Whether he loses to Dan or not, it's still a great rookie season, an incredible history-making rookie season.
Yeah.
He won the singles tournament as a rookie. That was his first match. His only single matches ever were in that tournament. And he won that tournament.
So like, why would you not pick him up?
No, exactly. You're not gonna throw back Adam Collins when he won the singles tournament. What he showed, and she's like that faction works very closely together too. That's the other thing. The faction's got a ton of camaraderie.
And you mentioned that Marisol, like if she's get picked up by corruption in the draft, if she chooses to not go with anybody else or vice versa, if anyone else to pick up her, then she has to go into the draft and she has to fall to the lower 2 picks. Mm-hmm. My thing, and unless in some wacky turn of events, I think people are going to sleep on Marisol if she does get to those 2 bottom picks, personally. Maybe just because I view Marisol McKee in a higher regard. But Matt, I will challenge your Roxy, and I will raise you a Sam Levine. Because Sam hasn't had the best season. Just look at points-wise. But if I'm Marisol and say I don't want to go into the draft, or I'm fearful that if I want to go into the draft, I'm going to get picked up by somebody else that's not corruption. So what's a great second option? Sam Levine. Like, who wouldn't? I would love to be managed by Sam Levine. Granted, he has he's built up a reputation of becoming a manager and his endless challenges throughout the season. But Sam's a great pick. I do agree with the Roxy thing. That's if Roxy's trying to prioritize Marisol over Alex, even though Alex,
should probably be one of her keepers.
Exactly.
She'll probably
so, especially if he's champ, like my God, that's your champ. That's a champion. And Matt, we've talked about that in the show before. Yeah. But there are definitely other options for Marisol. That's if she's not dedicated to corruption.
We don't know who's replacing Ken yet either. So,
if someone's going to replace Ken,
if someone's replacing Ken.
So
Barbarian. You were about to say something.
No, I was just going to say, just in terms of the, in terms of what the board's going to look like, I feel like I have some. I would say my assertion that that Marisol won't be one of the top 9 players on the board just comes from something of I would say some amount of insider knowledge about what the board's going to look like. But I'm not going to go too much into.
We won't disclose
that. But I feel, yeah.
Matt and I will speculate about that when you leave us, and that we'll try to pick apart what you just said.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, this team's tournament final, Barbarian, he may or may not know what happened, so we may not consult him on his choice on the prediction. But Matt, I'm curious. We've talked about these 2 teams enough. It's the odd couple. It's final exam. Tell us who you got and why.
I'm gonna ride with final exam here. I'm just the way Winston's got them going, the way how they handled the founding fathers. Unfortunately, it was just one of those things where it's like, all right, I said last week, if final exam were to win, that's who I got going forward. So I'm gonna keep my pick.
This one's a toughie because last week, Matt, when we were talking about both these matches, we said that to win matches nowadays, you got to go perfect. That's how hard the competition is, right? You damn near got to go perfect, especially in teams. And we saw that with both of these matches. Both teams in both matchups barely missed any questions throughout their match throughout the match. And the founding fathers just got unlucky with a choice on one of them that could have won them the game. So these matches get more difficult and more difficult. And I think when it comes to a final exam odd couple match, first of all, this match is going to rule. Yeah. It may be a match of the year, dare I say it, because that's how good these teams are. Oh my gosh.
Round match too.
Part of me wants to be different and say the odd couple, but I can't help myself. Because after seeing what Paul and Lon did, and I said in the show, that's like, yeah, and I'll say it now. Paul Oyama, he can. Oh my God, Barbarian said it right. Said it best. Top tier, A-list player. 1000%.
I said A plus player.
He's an S tier. We'll say of course as saying he's an S tier player. He's above an A-list player. He's the S tier. He's up there with some of the greatest. And after seeing what the hell he did with the Founding Fathers and with Lon barely said a word about the Audrey Hepburn category, or in the second round, he barely said a word because Paul's like, I got this. I got it. Yep. And I'm gonna rock with Final Exam, but I'm not gonna be surprised if the Odd Couple takes it because they're just as damn good, if not better. So I'm gonna rock with Final Exam, but Barbarian, with obviously like you know a little more than we do. But what are your analysis on these two teams facing each other?
So I haven't seen the match yet, but I do know which team wins. And so I'm not going to say anything that would tip that hand. What I will say is that these two teams are both formidable. As you know, we were just debating earlier whether or not the Odd Couple is one of the best teams of all time, which says a lot. Jeff Snyder just made his way to the finals of the singles tournament, so he's still playing at the top of his game. Mark and Draco always plays well. He's always, adding new notches to his belt. And then you look at Final Exam, and as I was saying before, it's like their knowledge is so complementary to each other, and we've got Paul Oyama, everything about his game is A plus material. Excuse me, A plus material, and Lon Harris is an industry insider who knows movies, talks movies for a living, and is super knowledgeable and super smart. And he is probably, aside from myself, the best current player in the Schmoedown who's never held a title. I kid. I would say he's actually probably, he is the best player in the Schmoedown who's never held a title. That was, it was a joke when I said myself. I'm not that conceited, but
well, we'll say it. I think, Matt, we can both agree that the Barbarian and Lon Harris are two of the best right now.
You can say that after just a few matches, just because of the personality he brings to it, the gameplay you bring to it. It's not like we're stroking your ego. It's just the truth. It's when you bring every aspect that fans like to see, and you garner that love so quickly. There's a reason behind that, and that's why Lon Harris, who a lot of fans until this season were mixed on, now love him because of his character change, and it's just one of those things.
Yeah. No, so first of all, I very much appreciate the compliment. I'll say this: is Lon Harris's work with the professor was so good. I've told him this directly. I thought he was an actual professor at first. So I was watching the match, and it wasn't until he came out with this delinquent. I was like, oh, well, actually, it was before that because I have some friends who are familiar with his work as a comedian. We were talking about. I was like, oh yeah, he's not a professor at all. This is all an act. And it's and I know the stuff's fake, and I know that there's I know how the sausage is made, and I still thought he was a professor. That's how good he was as the professor.
That's my favorite. That's my favorite Lon Harris persona, personally. The professor was the bomb to me. I love the little cutscenes they did with him.
Yeah, but even better than that was his appearance in the free for all this year, where he was the delinquent dressed as the professor as a costume. It was so meta and so amazing. Mm-hmm. I just love it.
I still remember when he popped in on the championship match. We got a match today, right? I'm clean now.
Oh, God. Lon Harris just gets it. He knows what's up.
Oh, he is a brilliant comedian. He's very good at movie trivia, and also at the end of the day, it's this. I think that people take this game so seriously that they lose track of how fun this game is. And it's one of the things that, when I'm talking with my faction mates, I just try to make sure to always reemphasize. It's this is a very fun game, and you are very good at it. That's why obviously it's I play with some of the best players in the league. So it's they are good at it, but it's also sometimes they just need to remember this is fun. You are out here having a blast. This
Yeah.
isn't just about winning. Yeah, it's important to win the titles. It's important to win matches. It feels good to win. It feels good to be a champion. Build your regard. But at the end of the day, it's like, are you kidding me? This is the best. This is the best sport on the internet. When I first told my friends about the Schmoedown, that I was joining, and I described it to them, their reaction was like, "It's like somebody invented a hobby specifically for Craig." Yeah, and it's been one heck of a ride.
Yeah.
And you're nowhere near done. That's the crazy part. You're just getting started.
One season in, many to go.
Hell yeah.
I kind of feel bad about the whole Collins thing, because before Collins went on this tear, I'm like, it's Craig or Goddard. Those are the rookies of the year, and Collins went on the tear, and I'm like,
well, I mean, it's at least for me, I was actually kind of relieved that he because if he'd only won 3 matches in the tournament and then got knocked out, and then there would have been the debate still. And what I don't like about the debate is how some people feel the need to discount my accomplishments and tear down my accomplishments to try to argue somebody else. And it's like I don't know. It's frustrating to read that, because it's from people who don't really know what they're talking about. And it's look, I mean, I love Ben Goddard. I think Ben Goddard's fantastic. But when people were using the argument that, well, Ben's played in 3 divisions and Craig's only played in 2 divisions, so it's clearly Ben. It's like, it doesn't make any sense. Just because he got a chance to play a teams match doesn't mean anything.
Yeah,
it's just like it's silly. It was that kind of argument was silly, and it's like, I mean, I'll say this: people always say there's a phrase in sports that stats are for losers, and it's not an insult to the statisticians. It's what the term stats is for losers is that what's most important is winning. But if you didn't win, you can point to the stats to show how good you were, even though you lost. And because I only went 2-1 in the singles, I lost that match. I lost and my season ended, so I'm technically a loser. But if you look at my stats, you look what I did. It was, it's up on the Schmoedown page. I had a more accurate season than anyone had in any prior season. Now there's 3 people that had a slightly more accurate season this season to what I did, but it's like, when people are trying to tear down my accomplishments, it's like, look, you can so you can have these arguments without tearing people down. That's part of what I'm trying to get at. But it was actually a relief for me to see Adam Collins just make it so irrefutable that by winning the tournament, it's like, well, I wouldn't even argue that I deserve it over Adam Collins, because he won the tournament. That's an amazing achievement. I can't say that I had the better rookie season than he did, because he clearly had the better rookie season, and I at least feel relieved that people will be able to have that conversation without trying to tear down what I've done.
Yeah.
See, and we've talked about on this show multiple times how crazy the fan base can get sometimes. So
yeah, well, it's not
everyone. It's the minority, but they're so loud. That's what bugs me as a fan. I can't even imagine how this for you.
I mean, it's fun because honestly, the people that say things that I don't like, I really just let it roll off my shoulders, because it's like they don't know what they're talking about. So it's not like they, it's sometimes frustrating to be like, your argument makes no sense. But one thing you may notice is that I very rarely, if ever, I think maybe once I responded to somebody on the Facebook thread in a bit of an argument. And it was only one quick, it was because and I remember specifically what it was because somebody was saying, no, neither of them would have known Whitney's 3-pointer, which was the question about who played Murdoch in the A-Team film, which was Charlotte Copley.
Right.
As it was like, neither of them knew that. And I was like, no, dude, I'm very familiar with Charlotte Copley. Don't go here saying that I didn't know stuff
When
that
you
I
don't
didn't
know me.
that I was not asking.
Yeah, so how would you know?
Yeah, it's like I wasn't asked that question. If I had, I knew the answer. And it's like don't go putting at any rate. But I try to stay away from arguing with fans on Facebook because that's their right to debate, in their forum to debate. And if I disagree with someone on there, in my mind, I'll be like, well, they don't know what they're talking about, but I'm not going to go in there and tell them you don't know what you're talking about, because I don't want to I don't want to be mean to anyone. And also it's like, whatever. What does it matter? You don't
want to give them the satisfaction of the Barbarian responding to them.
Well, I mean, it's not even that as much as it's like arguing with people on the internet's the most frustrating thing to do in the first place. It's like, the Schmoedown is supposed to be fun, so why would I waste my time with the Schmoedown doing something that's awful, like arguing with people on the internet?
That's why I only like to argue with my friends that I'm close with. That's it.
Yeah, we keep the arguing to us here.
It's different than arguing with people on the internet, and we're actually having a conversation.
Yeah.
It's like you can have fun and you can express nuance in a conversation, and when you're arguing, versus putting something. That's why when I did my whenever I've had something to say about a match, I've typically done it on a talk show. I've gone on Call to Action, or I've gone on something else. I said my piece about it. And that was it. I didn't respond to anyone who, wanted to argue with me in the chat. I didn't respond to anyone who wanted to argue with me in the comments. Didn't respond to anyone who wanted to argue with me on Facebook. No, I'm here to say my piece. And that's it. I'm not here to argue with any of you. I mean, you guys all argue with, but I'm not going to argue with you.
I respect that. I respect that. Yeah. Well, we got an event to talk about. The event.
Yeah, and the event.
Granted, we know who's going into the team's tournament championship. We don't know who the winner is right now, so we're not gonna. We don't, but he does. So we're not gonna talk about the team's championship match. But let's talk about this first match. We got Jericho and Young. How you feeling about that?
Can I say real quick before we guys get into your predictions that
please?
I was so happy to see this match announced because I'm such a big fan of both of these people. As I was saying earlier, Chris Jericho is one of my all-time favorite wrestlers. I think he is one of the all-time greatest wrestlers. And Brittany Young is one of the most fun, entertaining characters on the TV show Glow. And her match against Jada Paramo earlier this season, the stuff that she did, her, the character work she did there was just out of this world. Her and Kaiser played so well off each other.
Oh my God, yeah.
I'm just so excited to see these two bastions of entertainment go head to head against each other. I'm so excited for this.
I got a trivia question for you. What character did Jericho play in Jay and Silent Bob reboot?
He was a Ku Klux Klan member.
The leader, yes.
Damn close. But look, I like the Barbarian. I love Chris Jericho. I've said it on this channel many a time. I picked Jericho to beat Smith, but granted, the best match of the year went to sudden death, and he lost by a question. Did I say that out loud? But
it's a sudden death match. You can't,
it ruled. It was a great match.
That match was everything we needed it to be and wanted it to be. It was fantastic.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
The interplay between the competitors and the managers, the interplay between the competitors and each other. Kevin Smith getting a third round Bruce Willis question and missing it. Oh my God.
And then Kevin Smith winning on a comic book movie question. Just
Batman nonetheless. Right. Not even comic book, just a Batman question. But I love Chris Jericho. Le Champion is the jam. And I, like the Barbarian, loved seeing Brittany Young on Glow, a show that criminally is not getting a proper finale, not yet. I really hope so. Allison Bree's getting screwed over. What was that?
I said it just got straight up canceled.
Right?
It was killed by COVID.
And it breaks my heart because Allison Brie, again, another great TV show she was a part of, getting screwed over and not getting a proper ending. But I don't know where to lean on this one because Brittany was impressive in her match against Jader, and little did we know that was just the beginning of Jader's career in the Schmoedown and what he was capable of bringing earlier this year. And he had an impressive singles tournament performance, but enough about Jader. I'm gonna go with Jericho. I want to go with Chris Jericho. I maybe it's the mark in me that wants to pick Jericho, and I'm gonna rock with it anyway. But it's gonna be a good match. We're gonna have another great celebrity match.
I mark out for Jericho every time.
There you go. And so do I. I won't be surprised if Young wins.
Young. I'm going Brittany Young.
I can't blame you.
What she brought against, like that first match with Jader felt like a more competitive match than I shouldn't say. The questions felt more a higher standard question, because even Taylor, the Regent, the man who
of our channel,
of our channel, who claims not to be the encourager or the rager,
yes.
He said he's like, I would have gone perfect round one and gotten all their round. It's like for Jericho and Smith, that one was a match for that was the perfect match to get people in on, because you have these two big names, really realistic trivia that a lot of people would know outside of round three. Round three is when you really got the deep cuts, but yeah.
I mean, I don't blame you for picking Brittany. I won't be surprised if she wins. I just, part of me cannot not pick Jericho. Like, I can't.
I'll tell you guys who's going to win this match. The fans. The fans are going to win this match.
Yes, they are.
We're the real winners out here. Yeah. But besides Brittany Young and Jericho, what else we got, Matt?
So the next match we got is one I know a lot of fans are torn on, and that's Smith and Sheridan.
Another great match where the fans are going to win. This is a surprise to a few people. I mean, Christian alluded to these two competing against each other since Smith beat Jericho in August. Yep. So the fact that we're finally getting first of all, Kent, I'm surprised that Jericho, Young, and Smith are all coming back so soon. At least to all three of them, all coming back for Spectacular. It's the perfect end to the already crazy yet terrific season that season 7 was. At least in regards to competitiveness, to story, although COVID kind of was the story in this case. But the fact that these celebrities who are being treated as regular competitors, as they should be, are coming back at Spectacular, the biggest Spectacular yet. And I am going to pick Kevin Smith. Nothing against Brett. Smith's going to have that love. Oh, he's frozen. Smith's going to have that love coming off of that Jericho win. Mm-hmm. Smith impressed a lot of people with that Jericho win. Mm-hmm. And I'm confident in what Kevin Smith has to offer, especially against Brett. So I'm going to pick Kevin.
I'm going Kevin too. I'm not betting against my man. He's the guy who inspired me to get back outside. So it's a combination. It's him and Christian Harloff inspired me to go back to school.
I thought you were going to say Chris Jericho.
With that in mind, yeah, I'm not. No. If it weren't for Christian Harloff and Collider and SEN, I probably wouldn't be back in school. And I've told him that when I got to meet him at Celebration.
That's awesome.
But Kevin Smith, just big part of my life. You guys are Jericho marks. I'm a Kevin Smith mark. I'm not betting.
We love marking out, brother.
I'm not betting a dime against Kevin. So
I'm a Kevin Smith mark as well, and I'll say this is one of the matches I actually don't know the outcome to. But I feel like, look, we've seen what happened with Kevin Smith, and we've seen what happened with Brett Sheridan's match, and I feel like of the two, I feel like Brett almost lost to Bonnie Somerville, and Kevin, put up a good score against Jericho. So I think Kevin showed himself to be the better competitor in that. Now, I don't know how much work Brett's been putting into it since then. I mean, he knows he's going to have this match at Spectacular, so I imagine that he'll want to put on as good of a showing as possible. So, he does enjoy movies, but he's also, he's a dad, but so is Kevin Smith. And so there, it's hard to really know what they'll bring to the table. One thing I'll point out though is look, Jericho and Smith were the splashy, big celebrity signings, but it's like when you talk about Brittany Young being, a celebrity, like Brittany Young is yes, like a recognizable actress, but like she competes in this league like I compete in the league.
Right.
Like she it's like she goes like she was only at one of the tape days, but when I saw her at the tape day, she's like, oh, is that Elvis? Let me pet Elvis. So like she like she's in it to be in the league. Whereas I feel like Smith and Jericho are just kind of like it's kind of just like a side thing they're doing for which I'm totally. Is totally awesome that they're doing it. I'm totally excited that they're doing this, and I hope to see them at live events and hope to get to meet them because I'm a giant mark for both of them. But Brittany, Brittany Young is like she's a puncher. She's in this because she wants to be in the Schmoedown.
And obviously, she's a fan. She was a fan of yours, so she came and met you at the taping.
Right.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was her match. It was that match against Jader where after I don't know if you guys recall, but I crashed Jader's post match interview too. So that was fun.
Yeah.
We'll see if that pays off next season. We'll see.
I'd love that.
Oh shit!
All right. Now I know.
There were a number of scenes that got taped for matches that were supposed to lead into storyline stuff that just never materialized because of COVID.
Never aired.
Gosh,
Is it Schmoeminati storyline stuff?
No, I'm saying the scenes aired. We just never got to do the storyline.
Oh, but yeah, okay. So there's we saw.
Yeah, I mean, they even aired the whole thing of us picking our numbers for the free for all that got canceled in the last minute. It's like, ugh. At any rate, next match.
Next match.
Oh wait, can I say of those? Yeah, Kevin. I also go Kevin Smith again. I didn't know the outcome of that one. This one I do know the outcome too. So I'm just gonna say my piece after you guys see your piece on what I think about your projections.
Sounds good to me. I know Chris and I are probably gonna differ here because Chris is big on Ace.
I am. Yeah.
I am sticking with the horse that got me there because Alex was pissed after he got knocked out of the IG tournament. The first thing he said. This just gives me a hell of a lot more time to study for this Star Wars match. And boom. So that's all I needed to hear from him. I'm going Alex.
I mean, yes, I have been. I've been a fan of Ace, and Ace had a great season this year. I don't know how the Schmoedown awards are going to go this year, as our boy the Barbarian has to pour himself just a little bit more sangria, just a little bit.
But my cup runneth empty.
I kick-ass Iron Man 2 cup. I've been looking at that cup the whole time. But
it's Scarlett Johansson from Iron Man 2. I mean, who is that to look at?
Exactly. So, oh gosh, Ace surprised everyone at the Star Wars tournament this year. Everyone, the people that he beat, the competitors that he beat, and the kick-ass match against he had Demolanta that ended one of the best matches of the year. That as we've gone into this COVID part of the season, I think a lot of people are sleeping on and or forgot about because of how great the play's been since.
Yes.
But when we end the year, we have to remember that Demolanta Cabrera match because that's why we're here with the Star Wars match. Ace, like I said, surprised everybody. But with that being said, I'm also going to go with Alex. Alex Damon he's a killer. Alex Damon's a killer in Star Wars. And as much as I would love a fresher face in the title scene, holding a belt like Ace, that'd be awesome. And not that Alex has been a bad champ by any means. He's definitely held his own and definitely held himself in the Star Wars division, obviously whooping all that ass in Star Wars. But come next year, and we might, and this is going to be wishful thinking, but now that we're still getting these COVID matches, these digital matches, and even when we get back in the studio, Christian's gone on record saying digital will have some type of presence going forward. I would love to see that dream match of Damon and Whitwer.
Sorry. Continue.
Yeah, even if it's an exhibition or if it's for the belt with Alex, I prefer it be with a belt on the line, and I can't have that without having
Alex have the belt.
Exactly. Yeah. But that's just me wishful thinking. I'm rooting for Ace. I'm definitely a fan. And Matt, we've talked on the show before about the Ace, the Ace Damon stuff. Yeah. But I'm a rock with Alex for this. Plus, I mean, it's gonna be a great match. It's gonna be great. Yeah. Ace kicks ass in Star Wars.
Yeah. So Whitmore has gone on record as saying he has no interest in competing in Schmoedown in the future, and that
I feel like I'm getting worked. I'm getting worked over here. The rest of the part of my brain, I can't help myself.
I know, but he wasn't signing on for long-term commitment when he agreed to do the matches that he did. He wanted to, he just thought it'd be like a fun thing, win a match here or there. He didn't plan it to be like, oh, I've got this belt, I have to keep playing until I lose a match. What fun is that? So he abdicated, and look, Sam Levine abdicated the title match, his title, and I don't think he's ever going to play again. So I think the same with Sam Whitworth. So, those are the two men who've abdicated the titles. And yeah, that being said, so you guys are both going, Alex. I mean, look, Ace. You guys said I didn't think that anyone was going to beat Dimolanta in this tournament. I think Dimolanta. I didn't think Dimolanta was going to miss a question this tournament because I worked with Dimolanta during studying and whatnot. We were sparring partners. Well, he's helping training me up on the Star Wars for the IG tournament, and I was helping giving him some questions and whatnot for the Star Wars tournament. And his work ethic and his desire and his knowledge are just out of this world. And the fact that Ace was able to mount a match that could beat Dimolanta shows exactly how good of a competitor that he is as well. And the fact that he's had since the summer to just be preparing for this match. Someone who was able to have go through from the somewhat shaky play-in match he had. It wasn't like that shaky, but he had to they won the TKO on a challenge as opposed to getting it straight out. And look, he improved with every step throughout that tournament.
Yeah.
And who knows how much improvement he's done since then. So I think he is definitely a force to be reckoned with in the division.
1,000%.
I think he has the drive. And who knows if Alex has complacency. Clearly, Alex has the skill and the knowledge to retain that title. But does he have the drive? We don't know. He's been the champion for so long. Is he complacent?
It'll be 3 years coming up on Spectacular. So,
exactly.
My God. And that's... Oh, God. All I know is that if Ace wins, I'm going to pop hard. I'll say that. I'll pop super hard. I'll be because how can you not be happy for him? He had the Cinderella run of the Star Wars tournament.
I'll say this. As a wrestling fan, I understand what you're saying is wrestling terms, but I feel like if people were watching this who didn't know wrestling terms,
right?
Heard you say that,
Okay.
It sounds incorrect.
Dirty.
A little
Okay.
bit. Little bit.
Let me rephrase.
No. It's a wrestling term. I know what you mean by you said you're going to pop. You got a good pop. You're going to give a good pop.
That's why I always hold back.
I just want to make sure the audience knows that you're using wrestling terminology.
Yeah, I'm using wrestling terminology. Hence, when I mark, that's a wrestling term. When I pop,
yeah, exactly. Oh God.
I'm sorry. I'm still. I'm still in wrestle reel. I'm still in my wrestle reel brain. I use
every other Wednesday.
Yeah, I use wrestling terms in my daily life, and I never think about what other people think of those words. So yes, when I pop, I will be really excited. I'll be really happy, and I will be audible when I do it.
He literally hit on what I've been thinking ever since I heard you say that. I'm like, I get it's a wrestling term, but at the same time.
God, call me out. Let me explain myself.
I did call you out.
Thank you. But Matt, I do this every week on the show. Let me know.
I don't want to be that guy, but I'm going to be the guy that takes us to the next match, and that is Chandru versus Chance.
Oh, man. Oh, man. No.
This is the match I was looking forward Lisa talking about because I'm so torn. Because outside of the exchange, Swag is my favorite faction, but Chandru is my least favorite player on Swag.
Don't be so hard on Chandru.
It's amazing that Chandru has been able to, on one of the biggest face teams in the league, become one of the most hated heels. It's amazing.
Yeah. And he's like, I'm not a heel. He's like, I'm not a heel. I'm like, you do heel tendencies. You're a heel.
He's a heel. I think he knows.
Yeah, he is. Not
But here's the thing: a real villain doesn't think they're the villain. It's not, that's the thing. A real villain doesn't say, "I'm not a." The real villain doesn't say, "We're heels." They say, "I'm not a heel."
I like the callback.
It's been a fun season. I love you, Ben Goddard.
Oh, jeez. Okay. Oh my gosh. So, it's no secret on this show. Whether you're just joining us, like the Barbarian, or you've been watching with us every single week, I love corruption. I love corruption as a faction. I talk about them every week. They're my favorite. They're just so much fun to watch. Plus, I love me a good heel. I love me a good heel in wrestling. So when Shannon and corruption became, corruption, I'm like, this is the bomb. And Chance has been one of my favorites to watch. I stand Chance all year. Matt is my witness. Mm-hmm. Almost to a fault. I've been a Chance stan, and I will be no different going into this match. I'm gonna pick Chance Ellison. My man has had a great year, a great Schmoedown career. For as short as it's been, a great Schmoedown career, and he needs a singles belt. I shouldn't say he needs it, but a singles belt will really just.
You mean an IG belt? You mean an IG belt?
He means a solo belt,
like a solo belt.
There we go.
A solo belt to
not Han Solo, but solo.
Yeah, not like solo a Star Wars
individual.
story.
An individual belt is what we're getting at.
I know.
Yeah, like he needs un solo championship, but in English, and he I think that's what he's gonna get at Spectacular, because he's had so much success in the singles division, and in teams, and in Inner Geekdom, especially like the tournament final with Mike kicked ass. I love that match, and beating your teammate to go to this match against one of the most despised competitors in the league, it's heel v heel. You never get to see those too often.
But I mean, isn't Chance going to be the face of this match?
Yes, he will be.
That's what, because
Chance will be the face in this match.
Chris will be the first to tell you, I'm not the biggest corruption guy, I'll be the first to tell you.
And I don't get it.
It's like I either have to root for the faction I despise the most on the fact that I prefer like the heel factions of the Finstock Exchange, of Swag, or I got to root for the faction I like but the player I don't like at all.
Come with the cool kids, cool with the K.
I'm gonna go with Chandru.
What? Matt Thomas picking Chandru? Oh, what? On what earth? What timeline did I wake up in?
The timeline where Matt wants Winston to do well. So,
word. I'm sticking by Chance. I can't not pick Chance. I stand to a fault.
So my take on this match going into it, I have a ton of respect for Chance. He and I are friends, and but just as a competitor, he's shown what he can do across multiple divisions. Yes. However, I think that he may end up being a victim of his own success, because by virtue of winning the team's championship and having to defend it recently, that limited the time he had for IG. Ramping up to get back into IG. So having competed in both divisions myself, it doesn't take a lot to go from IG to singles, or singles/teams, but going back from singles/teams to IG, I think would be a bit of a beast. Whereas Chandru has the benefit of that being the only thing he studies. So I think that would give the advantage to Chandru.
That's fair.
And it's two of the best Inner Geekdom players, arguably the two best Inner Geekdom players rocking right now. Yeah. So it's hard to pick a clear victor. I'm just leaning with Chance. But
I mean, he has had a couple months now to try to prep to get back into it. So
exactly.
The question is, will that be enough time for him to get to be at Chandru's level?
and he's not double booked like how he could have been.
Yeah,
at
exactly.
Spectacular. So we'll see. But Chance, I'm rocking with Chance over Chandru.
Swag, drip, drip. That's all I got to say. Moving on to the final match we got. And that is one with the Finstock Exchange having their only title on the line. We got Merle versus Collins.
Oh, man. This match is going to rule. Like, this match is going to be awesome. It's going to be the GOAT and
versus the Prodigy. It's the GOAT.
Really?
The Prodigy.
No, like really, that's what it is. Adam Collins has had one hell of. I shouldn't even say year.
It's the GOAT versus the Phenom. Adam Collins is a Phenom.
There you go. It's Dan Murrow who's had like I said, he's the GOAT, and Adam Collins. I shouldn't even say he had a great year. He's had a great 4 months. Like he hasn't even competed the whole year. Like my man just showed up in the singles tournament and has been rocking ever since with 1 L on his record and a team's loss. And okay,
but let's not overlook the year that Dan Murrell's had. Dan Murrell has won.
Dan's had a great year.
Dan Murrell's won 4 title matches this year. Right?
Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah. You're right because he had the
three singles matches.
3 singles matches and the teams match for their retaining of it. So 4 title matches this year.
He has won 4 titles matches this year, and he lost. And then he lost 1. And then now he's lost 2 because they lost in the tournament last week. But he's had an incredible season. And again, those title matches are exponentially more difficult than a 3-round match.
Yeah,
because there's so much more strategy and there's so much more things you have to prepare for. So I mean, this match is going to be well. I'll let you guys say your piece, but before you say your piece, I'm going to say that this match, there's a reason why this is going to be the main event of Spectacular. So. What are your predictions?
I already know where Matt's going to go, so I'll go ahead and start. Okay, so I've been on the Adam Collins bandwagon.
You're a corruption fan.
I mean, yeah, and plus I've been going to the mountaintops on this show every week and shouting the name Adam Collins, and Matt Thomas just refuses to listen to me, which again, it's my It's a mutual. It's him not liking corruption, not so much, and me standing. So what I will say is Adam Collins is going to put up one hell of a fight against Dan Murrell. This match is going to be fantastic. We've seen what Adam Collins can do in a 5-round match with the singles tournament final with Jeff Snyder, who is also no slouch in singles.
No slouch.
And I believe, and Matt, you may have said this on the show before, but these guys in the exchange, yourself included, Barbarian, like after a loss, they come back even harder. Mm-hmm. Like they almost have something to prove, even when they don't. Even when you're Dan Murrell, like if you're around John Rocco a lot, you're gonna get that aura, like, yo, I have something to prove. No, you don't. You're the GOAT. And I think that's especially post being out of the teams tournament. Oh, damn, I want Collins to win, but I'm going to pick Dan. My prediction is Dan Murrell.
I'm glad you see the light, my friend. I'm glad you see the light. I
want Collins to win the match, but I think Dan's going to just come in and be Dan.
I want Dan to win the match, and I have a gut feeling Dan's going to win the match because Dan has been on this stage, this specific stage, Lord knows how many times now. We've all lost count. God. Of course, my internet.
Oh no, I hear you. We hear you. What's up?
That should fix it.
I can hear you.
All right.
We can hear you. What's up?
Dan has been on the stage, Lord knows how many times now. Dan has times now, and we've lost count at this point. Like he's what 4-time title winner, team title winner. He just knows how to go about these matches. And granted, his last match, was his last match? Ethan?
No, it was Bateman.
Yeah, it was bad.
It went Bateman, Erwin Bateman.
Yeah, Bateman. Thank you. His last match with Bateman, it was another one of those things where if Bateman had missed round that first 2 point, if he had made that first 2-pointer, that's Bateman's game.
Mm-hmm.
They've been close. Irwin was close. Both Bateman matches have been close. And even their losses have been close. And I think Dan is just more suited to handle this kind of pressure. So
it's going to be a slugfest. It will be a slugfest of two just incredible players, two great competitors in movie trivia, just going at it like hit for hit, question for question, point for point. And I mean, when we had talked about the singles tournament final with Snyder and Collins, one of the bigger questions, at least from us here on the show, was how's Collins going to do in a 5-point match or 5-round match? And we saw that. We saw how we did. They're pretty darn good, enough to beat a Jeff Snyder who was on it.
Mm-hmm.
And with Dan, yes, it's Dan. It's a guy who's beaten Ben Bateman, who I've said on the show is one of the best competitors in the league. Beat him twice this year in two completely different settings. So you can't even blame the play, because you saw him in a live event in front of a crowd of people, and you saw him on just like this. And we saw what happened both times. Beating Ethan Irwin, it's no slouch. That's another feather in your cap. And that all happened this year? Some people can say they've done that in their career. Dan did it this year. And it's hard to not pick Dan. Am I going to root for the new guy, for Collins, someone who I've been a fan of since I saw him show up and beat Roca this year?
Mm-hmm.
I want to see Collins succeed. Of course I do. But
I want to see Merle avenge Roca. That's what I want to see.
I'm still picking Dan, but Collins is gonna make him earn it. Collins will make him earn it.
So I'll say this. I have not been rooting for Collins this season for a few reasons. Number one, Finstock Exchange and Corruption have been going back and forth, head to head, and then they pulled ahead of us, and they've, at this point, an insurmountable lead. So I've, like I said, I don't know Adam very well. I've spoken to him a little bit. He's a good guy. When my GoFundMe was happening before he'd even joined the league, he donated to my GoFundMe. I saw that. I noted that. So I think he's a good person. I think he's a very good competitor. But clearly I was rooting for Roca. I'm friends with Andres Gallego, who he had his first match against. So I was rooting for Andres in that match. I'm friends with Lon Harris. So I was rooting for Lon in that match. I'm friends with Brendan Meyer. I was rooting for Brendan in that match. So it was like, I've seen this guy beat my friends all year, well, half the year, and it's been very frustrating. But the one thing I'll say, and again, Dan Merle is not one of Dan Merle is the greatest of all time at this game. That's not even. I haven't heard anyone present a feasible argument for anyone else being better than Dan is the greatest of all time. And the one thing, though, that I'll point out that you said is that Dan hasn't been on the stage countless times because this is the digital stage. And that's the one thing that's
good point.
One of the reasons why this season has been so unexpected has been because of the digital format. Because the digital format is significantly different than the live studio. You haven't heard a single person talk about, being under the bright lights, because there are no bright lights. We're just in our homes, on our couches, or in my case, I'm on my Captain America gaming chair. And
the preferred way of competing.
Of course. The point being that, people are more comfortable. There are some people that I know get uncomfortable in a studio setting and have seen them flourish in an at-home environment. And so Adam Collins has only ever competed in an at-home environment, so that could be something that gives him an advantage here, or at least like takes his disadvantage away that he would have if he was competing against Dan in a live theater filled with 1,000 screaming Merle fans. It's if that were the case, it wouldn't even be close. I would think that he'd get thrown off his game I think that Collins would get thrown off his game pretty easily, but that's not the case. It's the case of the digital world, in the case of Dan Merle and Adam Collins going head to head based on movie knowledge and preparation. And we know that Dan Merle has a brilliant amount of movie knowledge, and he's got his own show called All My Movies, and he's got a brilliant means for preparation. And we have to assume that Adam Collins has both of those as well, or else he wouldn't have had the season that he's had. So, you take the X factor of the live show out, and it's like you're playing on a neutral. It's like you're playing in a neutral field. Like bookies, when they handicap NFL games, you add 3 points to whoever's home field it is. Well, this is a neutral field game, so we'll see what happens when these two compete without the bright lights in their face.
And another thing I want to add to that is we've seen Adam Collins rarely answer, whether it's in one case a 5-round question, but a lot of 3-round questions. We haven't seen him answer to
the final round. Yeah, exactly.
The final round. So we've seen him attempt to answer some and fail at it, whether it's in teams or it's in singles.
I mean, this last match, he missed a 3 and a 5. That's,
exactly, and that may be the turning point.
Yeah, you can't win a title if you miss your 3 and your 5.
So that may be another thing. Like Dan's obviously proved that he can do that multiple times over this year alone.
Mm-hmm.
Collins, for as much as I was sing his praises, hasn't been perfect.
Put in the position where he has to. For the
exactly, and even when he has to, he's had success, but when it comes, but not too much, because just in that teams match, as an example, that's your 3 and 5. I echo what Barbarian said. You're not going to win. You're not going to win this match if you drop your 3 and your 5 in the last round, whether it's the 5th round in this title match or in any other 3-round regular match. So I have to go with Merle. I will stand by it. But if Collins wins, I'll pop. I will use my wrestling terminology, and I will pop hard. Just saying. I'm just being honest. I'm being honest. That's all I'm trying to say.
It's all you can be. It's all you can be.
Exactly. But spectacular. I posed a question to two of you guys before we wrap. What's the Barbarian? You may know a little bit more than we do, but are y'all expecting any surprises in regards to what we're going to see, who we're going to see, promos are going to be cut, storylines that will be advanced? What do you guys anticipate, or what do you guys want to see that's not a match?
I expect one storyline to advance like it has been the past couple of weeks, and that is the Schmoedown storyline. Other than that, I don't know if we'll see many surprises or whatnot. So Barbarian probably knows a little bit more, but I'm just...
Is there anything you want to see, Barbarian, that won't lean towards one way or another? But is there anything you just want to see as a fan?
I mean, I'd like to see myself in a match. That's what I'd like to see, but it's not going to happen, so I don't get my wish. I mean, no. What I want to see. Here's what I'll say. Look at that card. Look at those 6 matches. Those are going to be 6 ridiculous matches. It's going to be 6 spectacular matches at the Spectacular. We are in for, whether or not there are any storylines, which I can't imagine there won't be, because Christian has talked again and again about how much he wants to get the storylines back into it, how much he doesn't want this to just be a movie trivia show. He wants this to be entertainment, and I think we're going to get more of that in this. I don't know everything that's going to happen, but I think that anyone that puts their money out and pays for the live stream or is a Patreon and subscribes that way is going to feel like they got their money's worth out of this event, because this is going to be six hours of just raucous good fun.
And honestly, like, if it was just the matches, then that's worth the price of admission.
Yeah.
But knowing the Schmoedown and their history with these type of events, you're not just getting the matches. You're going to get a little bit more that just pushes you over the edge. That's more so than what the $9.99 this is going to be, or whatever the price of the pay-per-view is going to be.
I think it's something like $8.99 or something like that. So
either way, just join the Patreon.
Yeah, join the Patreon.
But I agree with you, Matt. We will see a major development in the Schmoedown storyline. It's the only one that survived COVID at the moment. We may revisit some that were done when y'all were taping in February and January, but
we taped in March.
Oh, you guys got early March.
First weekend of March.
Yeah, because March is when everything went to hell.
That Schmoedown Throwdown was live.
There you go. Video. I'm fully expecting we may see. I would love to see some Bateman stuff. Because that's my man. I'm part of the Action Army. Salute, brother. Like, I love both Team Action guys. So I do think that we'll see Schmoedown, but I'm hoping to see some Ben at the same time. I need to see something. I need to follow up into what's been going on with my man since August. I know all the action shows give me all my fix every week, but come on, Ben, give me something to work with. Give me a little something extra, and I'll be happy with it. But this is going to be a fun show. And I know we're going to be watching it like crazy, and we're going to be chatting about texting each other all day. Oh, my God. Or probably being something like this, watching it.
I got to see if Nick's going to be free that day.
But it's going to be a show. And, oh, my God.
It's not just a show. It is an event. This is going to be an event.
One hell of an event. The WrestleMania of the Movie Trivia Schmoedown is happening on the 12th, and I'm so jazzed to see it.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
Before we wrap, I do have one more question for the Barbarian, and it involves live matches.
Yeah.
If there is a Schmoedown Detroit, are you pushing to be one of those matches?
Well, first of all, I'm pushing for there to be a Schmoedown Detroit, and I can't imagine that once we get a Schmoedown Detroit, that Christian wouldn't have me there. Like, it would be ridiculous for him to not have me in Schmoedown. I am the only Michigander on the roster. Like, you gotta have the hometown hero, the big draw, and who knows? Maybe it'll be a teams match. We'll see.
Ooh, yeah. No, I've been a fan of push. I've pushed for Cleveland personally because I'm like, I know the Rock Hall has an actual theater in it. I'm like, playing Schmoedown in the Rock Hall would just be awesome.
Nice.
I cannot wait for live events.
I have to imagine that would be kind of expensive to rent out, but maybe not.
Oh yeah. Either way, live events, whenever they come back, hopefully they'll come back. I mean, they're going to come back in all their glory the second they can. Yeah. But we all need to wear our masks and mask up and stay cool.
Well, or once we get the vaccines, it'll be easier.
And a vaccine.
So at some point next year, we should be able to have live events without masks, but we'll see. The other thing, the one that I'm really hoping for, I'm hoping that we get San Diego Comic-Con again next year. And if we get San Diego Comic-Con, I really want my rematch against Chance Ellison at San Diego Comic-Con next year.
Ooh.
Whether or not he's champion or not, I want, look, right. If you go on this one, right now I'm the number 5 ranked IG competitor. So there's plenty of time for me to get in my number 1 contenders match and face Chance if that is the case. Or if Chance doesn't beat Chandru, maybe San Diego could end up being maybe San Diego could be me and Chance in a number 1 contenders match to face whoever the current champion is at that point. I mean, who knows? Either one of these things can work out. I just want a rematch against Chance Ellison in San Diego at Comic-Con 2021.
Speak it into existence. Speak it out there.
LeVar Ball right here.
You're damn right. Doing. Oh my God.
Well, this has been a great episode.
Damn right. It's probably
Winston still got him beat. Winston still got him beat.
It's because he joined at 2 hours. Barbarian's been with us for a whole 2 hours and 20-some minutes. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, guys.
But yeah,
rocking with us on this pre-tape of Spin from the Reel. Again, something that I'm not used to. I'm not used to pre-taping the show, but I'm more than happy to do it if the Barbarian's going to show us with all his wisdom and make this show better just by being here.
All he showed me is I need to study more. So
study more and drink more sangria.
You're damn right. Out of your Iron Man cups.
I'm not even doing this for charity this time. I'm just doing it because I like the taste.
Just for fun.
I don't do the drinking, but I definitely study. There's a reason I'm undefeated. So
that helped. I never drink before a match.
Maybe that's my problem.
That's probably is your problem. It's probably the semen demon's problem.
Can we not say that name in the Barbarian's presence? I really appreciate it. But again, Barbarian,
not gonna front. That's a character in our fan league.
Okay, I wasn't sure if that was like you're talking about that the lady with the demons. I never mind.
No.
I'm gonna stop.
But again, Barbarian,
wear your mask.
Wear your mask.
Exactly. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. I mean, not only did we get to help raise money for Kevin Smets at the Smash-a-thon, but we got to meet some incredible people like you in the process. And I mean, when Matt told me you're going to be on the show, I'm like, oh wow, like he meant that. He meant being on our show. Come on our little tiny show that these two guys just do on a Wednesday, and we're grateful. We've been hyping this up to each other and to our other brothers here who are They Real Entertainment for weeks now. So we're glad. We're happy. We're grateful.
I'm happy to do it. I'll be on your show that airs on a Wednesday, but we're gonna have to do it on a Tuesday.
You're damn right. and we'll happily do it.
But signing off, I'm Matt.
I am Chris Anthony Lopez. That's me.
The personality of this network.
The personality, damn right.
And our special guest, the Barbarian himself. And that's today's episode. Just remember, folks, spin from the reel, not the peg. That's the second week in a row I've done that. Have a good one.